Welcome everyone to today's webinar about MERLIC 26.03. We are very glad that you join us today, and after this webinar you will know everything about our new MERLIC software, features and updates. My name is Marcus, I'm part of MVTec's marketing team, and today I have the honor to be your moderator. Let me give you some quick information on this webinar. First of all, of course, we have a survey again. Please, we would kindly ask you to fill it in. It will be there in the very end of the webinar. Also, we have a Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat and we will do the Q&A session later on. Also, there will be a handout and a recording. You will receive it via email over the next few days. That's it from my side, and now I'm very happy to introduce you your experts of today. With me is Florian Aumeier and Ulf Schulmeier. Please join me. Wonderful.
Hello.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Fine,
thank you.
Excited about a new webinar?
Of course.
Like always.
About the new version of
Perfect.
MERLIC.
Perfect. Florian, a few sentences to you. You have some experience from the real world industry, right? Can you give us a little bit information about your background?
Sure, thank you. So I worked quite some years for a machine manufacturer in the past as a software developer. And I not only implemented new features, but also worked at the service and in the commissioning. And I also had a laptop to go straight to the machine. So I think I know quite well how our customers, the environment of our customers and how they feel.
Wonderful. So you know what you're talking about today. That's perfect. Ulf and you are going to attend the Hannover Messe this year, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, we will join the embedded park there, and we have a big booth, and we'll have a demo of MERLIC in Siemens Industrial Edge. And there will be a talk about MERLIC with my person, and we also join please help me with that.
The AI guided tour from the Hannover Messe itself. It's always a huge blast because many people are joining and we can give a glimpse of our demonstrations and of course the new MERLIC features.
Yes.
So I would recommend to go there. I will be there, and now the stage is only yours. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the new features of MERLIC 26.03. But before we start, as always, I want to highlight a few things. First, I want to highlight the success we achieved with our customers in 2025. Together, we solved a lot of interesting use cases all over the world, and we received a lot of valuable feedback, which we will take into account in the further development of MERLIC. And here's another reminder about the feedback button in MERLIC. That's the direct line to Florian and me. So if you have any requests or any problems with MERLIC, just let us know. And now let's have a look at the main topics we will show you today for the new release of MERLIC. And at the end of this presentation, we have some news regarding the deep learning tool, which has also a new release this month. Let's meet MERLIC 26.03. You heard right, it's 26.03, not 5.9. Here we want to align MERLIC with our other products, Helkern and the deep learning tool, in using the month and the year of the release in the name of the software. But there are further exciting news. We are changing the licensing model of MERLIC to offer our customers an even more attractive overall package. One of the most important changes is that licensing is no longer tied to the number of cameras. This move removes a major limitation for many customers and makes scaling significantly easier. We also removed the differentiation based on how many deep learning methods you use. No matter how many deep learning tools you rely on, the licensing model now remains straightforward and predictable. What stays the same is the custom tool add-on. There are no changes here, and all existing workflows continue to work as before. The same applies to the number of instances. You all know that you are able to use 2 instances of MERLIC in parallel. And finally, we've introduced a clear and customer-friendly upgrade path. Every purchase now comes with a full year of free upgrades. This means you'll automatically benefit from new releases, improvements, and innovation within the first 12 months after purchase, and this without any additional costs. Overall, these adjustments simplify planning, reduce complexity, and make MERLIC more future-proof for upcoming features. And now let's have the technical deep dive, and I'll hand over to Florian.
Thank you. To ensure that MERLIC can be maintained and extended in the future, we invested in changes that strengthen its foundation. These improvements make it easier for customers to use MERLIC in the best possible way today, while at the same time making the product future-proof for upcoming requirements and features. Future-proofing isn't just about adding new features, it's also about reducing complexity. That brings me to deprecation and streamlining. First of all, we marked the tools write image to file, write to file, and read from file as legacy. These tools remain available to ensure backwards compatibility, but they will no longer be actively maintained or extended. In almost all use cases, we recommend using the communication plugins Save Images and Save Results instead, as they provide a more robust and future-ready approach. For the read from file use case, we have already collected a concrete requirement and remain open for further feedback. Since the socket tools and the acquire image from camera tool had already been considered legacy, we have now removed them completely. This results in higher stability and more streamlined workflow based on the MERLIC Image Source Manager and the TCP socket plugin. Finally, to simplify future development in RT setup, we cleaned up the internal communication interface. This reduces complexity and makes it significantly easier to extend and maintain MERLIC going forward. And to support long-term consistency, starting with the MERLIC examples, we introduced new fonts, which will become the default fonts for MERLIC in future. With that cleanup in place, let's now look at where we added something new. With MERLIC 26.03, we introduced several tool improvements based on Helcan 25.11. The read text and numbers with deep learning tool has been extended with new compact reading model, which is optimized for embedded systems and delivers more than 10 times faster inference. The tool read text and numbers with deep learning now also supports optimized models, improving efficiency across different hardware targets. Detection and reading can now be configured more independently, including separate settings for processing unit and precision. And we also added support for the latest print quality verification standards, ISO IEC 15415-2024 and ISO IEC 29158-2025, affecting all relevant 2D code reading tools. And finally, with the new CUDA version, MERLIC now supports NVIDIA Blackwell-based graphic cards, ensuring forward compatibility for upcoming GPU generations. Alongside these usability improvements, we also look closely at real customer use cases. And one topic came up again and again: line scan applications. We've received multiple requests from customers around line scan scenarios. So we analyzed how line scan cameras are being used in MERLIC. And for many customers, the missing piece is an easy way to tile images together. That's exactly what we are addressing next. Let me show you our new concept tool, Tile Images. With this tool, images can be tiled horizontally or vertically, and you can use it multiple times to build up larger images step by step. Combined with acquisition sequences, this allows you to merge images from line scan cameras or area cameras into a single image with a larger field of view. That resulting image can then be used directly for inspections, just like any other image in MERLIC. To give you an idea how this works, I prepared an example. Here I have 4 images of a board, but I want to do checks on the complete board. So let's see how this looks like. First, we see the 2 images for the left part of the board. these two images are tiled together vertically. In the right, we have the two images for the right part of the board. First the lower, then the upper one. These are also tiled together vertically. These two resulting images can now be tiled together horizontally, so we get the complete view of the board. With this combined image, we can now start with doing subchecks. For example, I want to measure two edges across the complete board. So let's detect the left edge and the right edge and measure from segment to segment. Or I can check the distance between two edges. Or I can check the distance between two edges. And finally, I try to detect and measure circles spread around the board. This is the first step, but not the only one, on our journey to better support line scan use cases in MERLIC. With that new tool in place, let's shift our focus to the next area where we strengthen MERLIC's integration into automation environments. We are currently working on the first ADS communication plugin for the Beckhoff TwinCAT. Here you can see the plugin within the MERLIC RTE. It will be available as standard plugin and is configurable as our other PLC plugins. This will allow a direct and well-integrated connection between MERLIC and TwinCAT PLCs from Beckhoff. And it's an important step for tighter integration into automation environments and shows our commitment to connectivity.
Okay, looks quite good. But are there any other improvements for process integration?
Sure. We also made several improvements to the OPCAA plugin by updating to the Unified Automation OPCAA SDK 2.01. One improvement change is that trace information from both the stack and the application is now written directly into the MERLIC RTE log files. There is no need to manage separate log files anymore. We also extended the endpoint connection configuration with explicit address and port parameters, giving you a clearer and more flexible control over how connections are set up. Finally, we renamed some parameters to improve clarity and make the configuration easier to understand. So that covers how MERLIC was improved regarding connectivity. Now let's move to what happens during operation and how changes in MERLIC become more transparent. One important feature of MERLIC is the possibility to make changes to an MV app via the MERLIC frontend.
Yes, and this flexibility is essential in many real-world production environments. And that's why we introduced front-end observability. Imagine this situation. After night shift, the NOK rates explode. Maybe a recipe was changed or a threshold. But no one knows who did that, when or why. And time is lost in useless discussions. That's where an audit trail makes the difference. All changes in a system are recorded, and the new version of MERLIC will provide the tools for creating audit trails. And you can imagine that in regulated industries like pharma, audit trails are not just a feature. They are a necessity. So let me give you some more background information about the topic audit trail. As mentioned, an audit trail records all activities in a system. And this information is saved in time order and protected against any changes. And it may contain the user who did the change, the timestamp when the change was done, the action, what was changed, the reason why it was changed, and the before and after values. It makes actions traceable and verifiable. And this leads to more transparency, better security, more compliance, and easier error analysis. And Florian will now show us what functionality of this audit trail we have implemented in MERLIC.
Thank you. To start front-end observability, we need to start with write access. In MERLIC, making changes to an env app with the MERLIC frontend is powerful, but they must be controlled, intentional, and transparent. With MERLIC 26.03, we significantly improved the write access widget in MERLIC frontend to make this explicit. If the MERLIC frontend is started within the MERLIC creator, the write access widget is deactivated because the write access is automatically granted in this context. The widget only becomes active when the frontend is connected to a MERLIC RT instance. Exactly the situation where control changes during operation matter. The widget configuration was extended by a release action. This is triggered when the write access mode is released while there are still unsafe changes. At this point, the user has a clear choice. They can either save the changes automatically, open a save dialog while explicitly providing a reason for the modification, or discard the changes. This is what turns write access from a simple permission into a controlled process. And to make sure that this behavior is easy to understand and apply, we also improved the documentation. It now describes much more clearly the intended use of write access, the difference depending on whether the frontend is connected to the creator or to a MERLIC RTE, and how to explicitly enable write access in MERLIC RTE mode. This ensures that the concept is not only technically sound, but also well documented and transparent for developers, operators, and integrators alike. Let's now look at frontend observability in action. Here I'm working with a MERLIC frontend that contains several input fields for the currently logged in user. We can now activate write access and make some changes to the input field and trigger a single execution to check if the app is still working as expected. We can now release the write access, but before those changes are saved, I'm required to enter a reason for the modification. We can do that a second time, this time using the slider widget, and I'm using the widget independently here to make the behavior easier to follow. But this is not a requirement. In practice, you can change multiple widgets within the same write access session. Afterwards, we can see what happens in the backend, and MERLIC logs these interactions and provides the data via an open interface. We do not want MERLIC to introduce a proprietary database, tool, or concept to its customer's environment. Instead, we choose a framework providing the data via an open interface wisely. This allows our customers to use their existing, well-established observability and tracing tools. To show you how this looks like, I used an open source dashboard in the following. With that, we can already see the two interactions from before made in the MERLIC frontend. Each represents a separate trace. This does not look so spectacular, but once you select one of these traces, things are getting more interesting, because now we can drill down into the individual actions that happened during a write access session. This structure preserves causality, timing, and context. Each write access session is a trace broken down into spans for acquiring access, setting a parameter, and releasing with save, fully structured and time-ordered. And the same with the slider interaction, just with some more parameter changes. Each step parameter span contains relevant technical metadata to trace back the changes made in the MERLIC frontend. For example, the parameter name, the tool context, and the before and after values. As a result, the same data can be used not only for visualization, but also for downstream analysis, monitoring, or process optimization. So let's see how this evolves in the future. Ulf, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm quite impressed what we have achieved here. And this feature was developed in close collaboration with one of our customers. And you see, it's worth talking to us and shape together the ongoing development of MERLIC. But now let's have a look at the new release of MVTec's deep learning tool. The release date of the deep learning tool 26.03 is March 19th, 2026. And the main new feature is the support for deep OCR alignment. But it also includes many smaller features, fixes, and improvements, as always. The new version of the deep learning tool is now compatible with Halcyon 25.11 and NVIDIA CUDA 12.8, and also supports the NVIDIA Blackwell architecture. Now let's have a look at the new deep OCR alignment feature. Previously, it was necessary to detect text within images or to crop them manually. This step was difficult and time-consuming. So the alignment function eliminates the need for text cropping, and you can skip the detection step. And when can I use this alignment? The alignment can be activated during training, as you can see on the right side. It only works for single-line phrases or roughly cropped images. However, the text can be rotated. And here are some examples of text where alignment can be used. The new version of the deep learning tool comes with many other deep OCR improvements. Alignment reduces the inference time. On the right, you can see a benchmark comparing recognition alone, detection and recognition, and alignment and recognition. As you can see, skipping the detection step can reduce inference times by more than half. The auto-detect image with feature automates the task for you. And you can shorten training times and lower memory usage due to training improvements. Also, like MERLIC, the latest NVIDIA GPUs from the Blackwell architecture are supported through the CUDA 12.8 update. As the optimized models are not compatible across CUDA versions, updating MERLIC and DLT is recommended. So this concludes our webinar, and now we have a short break to manage the questions you have asked. And please help us to improve MERLIC and the deep learning tool and take part of our survey. Thank you very much. See you soon.
right, everybody, welcome back to our Q&A session. Thank you, Ulf and Florian, for the presentation. And in the meantime, I checked my laptop and received a few questions I would like to ask you on behalf of our audience. So the first question is about line scan camera. I have a line scan camera sending a single line image every time. Do I have to add a tool for every line I want to combine? Who wants to answer this question?
I think it's my part. So yes, you have to add a tool for each line, but please check which camera you're using. Sometimes or often you can define how many lines can be combined. So the camera itself can also combine lines and send you a bunch of images together. So you don't have to add a tool for each line.
All right, sounds good. The second question is the tile images tool only for line scan cameras?
Again, for me, I think.
Okay, wonderful.
No, it's not only for line scan cameras. So it's one possible use case. But we also saw a use case where customers want to combine images so that they have, for example, different images from area cameras in one image and all the information from different checks combined into one image, so the information does not spread.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you. And I think we got time for one more question. Can I use MERLIC 5.8 MV apps in MERLIC 26.03? Good question.
I think it's again a question for me. I would say yes, sure, you can. It's a major breaking change, this MERLIC release, and we, as always, provide a conversion and upgrade process for MV apps. So just open your 5.8 MV apps with MERLIC 26.03, and we will do the conversion. And then please check if they are still working as expected, because we removed tools or renamed parameters, but it should only be a check if it's still working as expected.
Wonderful.
And if there are problems with that, you can call us or give us a hint with our customer service team, right?
Wonderful. Sounds great. Okay. I think we're coming to the end of this session. Time always flies. So thank you very much for listening today. There are some more questions, for example, also regarding prices and licensing. Ulf, do you want to mention something regarding this topic?
Yes, regarding pricing and licensing, I recommend that you contact your MVTec salesperson or your MVTec sales partner to answer that.
Wonderful. So you can always contact us if you need more information. Of course, after this webinar, you will receive a follow-up mailing with the survey, the handout, and the recording. That's it from our side. We are looking forward to see you at the Hannover Messe for sure. And yeah, in the meantime, if you need anything, call us, write us, whatsoever. We are looking forward to hear from you. And thank you very much, Florian, Ulf, for your time today. And we will see also very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.